This $16 earphone is like no other that I've ever tried. But is that a good thing? And should you buy them? Let's talk about that. Big shout out to today's video sponsor, Linsoul. Check out their fantastic deals in the links in the video description. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas, and a big thanks to Linsoul for sending over this review unit. As always, they don't have any editorial power and aren't seeing this before you, but their links will be in the video description. So then, what makes the TinHiFi C0 ELF different to everything else I've ever tried? Well, it's a bullet shape IEM, which is a style and shape that I found seems to have a bit of a cult following. There are people who tend to avoid the molded shaped sets for these, and that's fair enough. But they are still IEMs with interchangeable tips, unlike the FiO FF1, which I checked out recently. The C0 has a single dynamic driver and they're an open back set, which means that there's perforations in the back and you're not getting that super tight seal that you might normally get. This means that you're going to hear stuff going on around you and people will hear what you're listening to if you have them turned up enough. This does impact the sound quality to a degree, and we'll talk about the sound a little bit later, but just know that these might not be the best for the gym or anything like that. And that becomes more obvious when you realise that the included cable is a straight wire with no built-in ear hooks. Ear hooks? Ear hooks. The C0 comes with these little rubber pieces that are mega fiddly and are absolutely not worth it in my opinion. The hassle is just too much. But thankfully TinHiFi allows you to swap out the cable. It's a very standard 2-pin setup. So actually I used the Moondrop Aria cable for the majority of my review listening because it just made them sit that much better in my ear. Otherwise, the included cable is decent. It's really light, really supple. You can get it with a DAC or not. This is the basic, very basic version. It's a bronze color. It's pretty lightweight again. It's easy to manipulate and it terminates in the single-ended 3.5mm jack plug. I ran the C0 through my phone adapters, MacBook Pro output, through my FiO K5 Pro and my iFi Zen DAC V2, and these are really easy to run. You don't need a headphone amp or anything like that to make them sing. They're actually quite sensitive, so don't plug them into something for the first time with your volume all the way up or you will cause some hearing damage. They are metal housings, which lifts the fit and finish to a surprisingly decent level for a product this affordable, though they are super lightweight, which makes wearing them for long periods a lot easier. Asterisk. You might want a different cable to keep them more securely in your ears. Actually, even with my preferred ear tips on these, they did come loose a fair few times, which I wasn't a fan of, but your mileage most certainly will vary because everyone's ears are different shapes and sizes. Now, for the meat and the potatoes, the sound. How can an open back pair of $16 bullet IEM sound? Well, better than I expected actually. Despite the fairly poor seal in my ear, I was able to get some bass out of these without any kind of tuning or EQ, and the sub bass was pretty present for something like this. Don't get me wrong, these aren't bass heavy, they are not doing that, that is not their strength, but as someone who likes some low end, these actually did surprise me. Their real strength is in the treble and the air, in which these things are shockingly good for the money. If you want a profile that accentuates the treble, the likes of sparkle and detail, the C0 is a good option for you. There's good instrument separation and detail retrieval right up there in the high end, but as you cool down into the mid-range, things start to get a little bit muddy. Or maybe that it's not necessarily there's a lack of detail, but a lack of volume in the mid-range where the male vocalists and acoustic guitars can feel a little bit recessed and pulled back from the action. As far as an open back pair though, I was surprised to find not much in the way of Soundstage, be that width or depth. I mean, it's average for the price range, it's decent, but I thought it would be more given that they're open. I was expecting sort of a more 3D or holographic sound, but what I experienced was pretty 2D, with the width being far more emphasized than the depth. If you're into live recordings or want something cheap to chuck in a VR headset, I'm not sure I would go with the C0. And speaking of gaming with the C0 is pretty decent. These aren't going to win any awards for an esports earphone of the year, for example, but I quite like the crisp highs in shooters. It gives the sound a little bit of a satisfying punch, which can be very shouty if you have the volume up. Imaging is solid though, you hear pretty much everywhere sound is coming from. It's not pinpoint accurate, but it's good enough. I think if you're trying to focus, the open backs of these, letting in the additional noise can distract you, and gaming with them, I'm not sure. I feel like I would go with the Chew 2 instead of these purely for gaming. The TinHiFi C0 is a pretty cool set of IEM for the money. You get an airy, vibrant, energetic tuning with some surprising sub-bass shake. You get a pair of bullet IEMs with good build quality and a decent cable, and you get the option to swap out said cable for something more to your liking. Sure, you don't get the microphone, which is something that a lot of people look for in sets of this price, but I can't knock it because I love the Chew 2, and the Chew 2 doesn't come with a mic either. For $16, if you like this kind of form factor, I say go for it. However, if you're not particularly into open back bullets, go with the Chew 2. The Chew 2 is, in my opinion, far better than this, but I'm not the target demographic for the C0. I want to give a massive thanks to Linsoul for sending these things out to me. I really appreciate it, and I'll leave their stuff and their links in the video description. A massive thanks to you for watching the video also, even after my extended break as I've moved house. Do you like it? I have like 100 more angles to shoot from now. Anyway, I've been Ryan Thomas, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.